This week's tip is about twisted stitches, and this is something that occurs not that often in my basic students, but it does happen often enough that I do want to talk about it. Now I've got this little swatch that I've knit here, and notice that when I stretch it, this row right here looks different than the other rows. These stitches are open at the bottom. The V will open up. These, it is crossed at the base, and notice when I pull it, the stitch disappears, and it's going to have more space between the stitches than these guys. Now, twisted stitches can happen for a couple of reasons, and generally the most common way is that if you look at the stitch how it lies on the needle, or lays on the needle, notice that the top leg, the leg in the front, is on top. If I look, it is above the lower leg, and that is the standard presentation for a stitch. And I knit it through the front, and everything is okay. But if I knit it through the back, and notice that it is twisting the stitch, and it requires a bit more work to do this. Okay, the resulting stitch is twisted. Now let me purl this, and I've never seen anybody purl through the back on purpose, because it is hard to purl through the back. You have to really do some gymnastics with your needle, so that's not really a problem. People generally only do this on the knit rows. And I'm working them. And notice that when I knit them through the back loop as I did, what stitches it twists were the stitches that were on the needle. Now, it doesn't matter how you hold your needle or whatever to twist these stitches. It's not something that's more profound. Another way that stitches can be twisted is if you wrap the yarn in the opposite direction. Typically, you wrap a knit stitch under the needle and pull it through. But if you wrap a knit stitch over the needle and pull it through, it is going to change the orientation of that stitch on the needle. And again, this doesn't seem to be as much problem with knit stitches as it does more of a problem with purl stitches. Now notice that these stitches appear different on the needle. Normally they're kind of slanted in the opposite direction. That is because they are twisted. Now if I were, and we can see it more on this side, notice that that front leg is lower than the back leg. Now if I wanted to untwist these stitches, and a lot of people do this for tension reasons, and in the upcoming weeks we're going to talk about tension, and I'll bring this up. I could then work these stitches through the back, and in this case it's not that hard to purl through the back because the back loop is higher, and that will untwist the stitch. But if I am to purl it through the front, it will twist it. Now, where we frequently see this as a problem in purling is you go over the needle for a purl stitch, but if you go under the needle for a purl stitch, that is going to leave a twisted stitch on your needle. Ugh. You can see that this is a little more difficult to do these things because if you purl through the back, it makes a smaller stitch, and when we talk about tension, that'll come up again. Now again, anytime you have done that, if I wanted to untwist those stitches, I would just knit them through the back. If you see a stitch that is oriented like this, if you work it through the back, that will untwist it. It's only if you work it through the front that you're going to twist it.